Welcome back. As the year 2022 comes to an end with just 2 days left on the calendar, somewhere in West Africa, Ghana to be precise, there has been a warning call to all end of the year prophets and their prophecies. Ghana Police have issued a warning on the ban of alarmist new prophecies or New Year prophecies, as they say, saying that those found culpable will be penalized.
Well, the police had last year banned New Year prophecies in churches, describing them as misleading, stating that such prophecies were capable of causing panic and more likely to endanger lives. Well, earlier on, we did have our correspondent Bettina Anweli, who actually put a report together, and she actually spoke deeply on that. But we'll take a look at that report in the course of Breakfast Central. But joining us to discuss this prophetic ban on all seers, as it was, is Wilberforce Asare. Well, he is editor and public affairs analyst who resides in Ghana, but currently joining us all the way from the United Kingdom. Thank you for being here, Wilberforce.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I'm sure you've gotten a whirlwind of what's going on in your country, Ghana, and you are indeed used to seeing these prophecies happen, especially a fortnight before the new year, and definitely you've seen what it has caused. But why is this ban all of a sudden so stringent, aside from the fact that many have proven to be false prophecies?
All right, so I've lived all my life in Ghana, and so I perfectly understand this particular phenomenon. What it is that over the years, or in the last few years, perhaps 10 years, there are a group of prophets who have arisen in our country, who have made it a profession or have made it a trade to come up with a list of prophecies, particularly in the political space, in order to build their career as prophets and their career as men of God. And so we've had occasion where some pastors have prophesied the death of politicians, the death of religious leaders. They have also prophesied the issues concerning who's going to win political office, especially when we are in a political season, that's an election year and all that. And some of these things, some of the prophets have had their prophecies come through. Some also have had their prophecies not coming through. One of the prophecies that perhaps stirred controversy was the one that had to do with someone prophesying that the chief imam of the Republic of Ghana was going to die in a specific year and a specific time. And that caused a lot of uproar between the Muslim community and the Christian community in Ghana. Hitherto, we've not had that kind of challenge. It's been very good coexistence. And so I believe that that is what raised the red flag with the police authorities in our country to issue this caveat in 2021. So when we were preparing to enter 2022, that was December 2021. That was the first time they issued this instruction. And 2021, during the watch night services and all that, there was a very smooth transition. No negative prophecies were heard because of the police orders and all of that. And so it is expected that this particular repetition will help us to transition from 2022 into 2023 as smoothly as possible.
I mean, you've highlighted the origin or the genesis of this all with the negative prophecies against the chief imam, which did cause some clashes. We've also seen several other prophecies for a certain celebrity who ended up being arrested. There was also a politician who they prophesied was going to die. Now, a year after the ban, the police has said, of course, this is still in place. What are your expectations for the crossover services this year? And I'm asking this because we know that Ghana has faced a very tough time this year, especially with the fall, the fall of the CD and the death issues. We've talked about this on the show as well. And we do know that lots of people run to religion as a place of succor when there are challenges in their country. Are we expecting that maybe we might see some of these prophecies rear their head up again in this year?
Well, in fact, it's a worry, and that is why I believe the police is doing what it's doing. Now, we are not in an election year next year, 2023, but next year, 2023, most of the two major political parties have to elect their flag bearers. That means that they will be preparing for election 2024, which will be just 1 year away when we enter into 2023, or a year and a few months away. And so there is that likelihood that people are going to be prophesying as to who will win the candidature in the MPP and the candidature in the NDC. Notice that the current President Ikufaro, is no longer going to run for office in the coming election, because he served 2 terms. And so these are some of the things that are worrying. So that even though we are not in an election year, the next year, 2023, is still a very heavily politicized year. And so people are worried, and the police and the security architecture in our country is worried that these prophets will take advantage of it. Again, in terms of who will die and who will not die and all that, last year we didn't see that. And so it is anticipated that this year we will not also see that again. The national security concern of this matter is what is the issue at stake. And the security apparatus in our country are committed to ensuring that they secure the security of the interior. And that's because we've had a very challenging year. Economic challenges, all kinds of challenges, and they are beginning to water down a little. And so you don't want to precipitate these issues again with negative rhetoric and negative prophecies. And so I want to believe that the police will do everything possible to enforce this. The police is capable of monitoring communications that go on everywhere in our country. And so I believe they will send their representatives into most of these churches where these prophecies are done, and they will give reports, like real-time reports to the police from their command centers in order to ensure that anybody who breaches this law is brought to book.
Just to clarify, it's not that the law says you're not allowed to give prophecies, but if your prophecy is harmful or can be insightful in some way, then you're contravening the provision of the law, right?
Well, yeah, so the law does not ban religious activity, but the law has a space for unguided communication, unguided talk. So your talk can cause fear and panic. And when your communication is causing fear and panic, it is defamatory, it is derogatory, then the law has a space for you as having breached the law. And so, well, indeed, that's what it is. But Ghana has a lot of freedom of religion. We have all kinds of churches. In fact, in Accra, for example, where I live, almost every 100 meters there's a church.
I think it's quite synonymous as well in other African countries. Yeah. But anyway, I think one that stood out for me was one of the prophets who did mention that the Ghanaian football team will beat Portugal, and that they will lose to Nigeria and they will not qualify for the just concluded Qatar World Cup. Unfortunately, his prophecies never came to fruition, and he ended up saying he was not prophesying, but he was actually just predicting. Both of us, we wish you all the best. Yes. We wish you all the best.
It's unacceptable.
All the best, though. We'll have some heads up later on and see if this would actually rear its ugly head, like Olive rightly said. Thanks for joining us all the way from UK, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.